So listen to this: in 2013, Ben Arfa expressed his dream of winning the Ballon d'Or. However, a year later he had seemingly lost his way, finding himself on loan at Hull City alongside Harry Maguire. Despite his past hostility toward Benzema, insisting they were not friends, the situation took an interesting turn. When asked about Ben Arfa's transfer, Benzema responded thoughtfully, showcasing the complexities of their relationship and the unpredictable nature of football careers. It highlights how quickly fortunes can change in the sport. Hatem was like Messi. I saw him do incredible things. If he had followed the path meant for him, they would be playing side by side. Technically, they're the same, someone remarked about Ben Arfa. Yet despite his undeniable talent, Ben Arfa acknowledged his struggles, admitting, "My career has been like a Super Mario game, and I've run out of credits. This is my last life." After 8 matches at Hull City, the only game they won was the one where he was benched. Things took a troubling turn when, on his way to training, Ben Arfa sped off in his Mercedes, crashing hard into a parked car that ended up on someone's front lawn. Remarkably, he just kept driving. This alarming incident was a clear indication that he wasn't in the right mental state to play football. Yet the very next day, he continued to prepare for the next match, oblivious to the warning signs. Ben Arfa was in the starting 11 against Manchester United, but just 30 minutes into the match, manager Steve Bruce began to question what he was seeing. He could swear Ben Arfa had barely moved, prompting him to ask one of the analysts to review the data. To his shock, the analyst confirmed that Ben Arfa had covered less distance on the pitch than the goalkeeper. Furious, Steve Bruce yelled at him to leave the field and declared he would never be welcomed back at Hull City. Meanwhile, Newcastle, the club that had loaned him out, was so taken aback by the situation that they decided to terminate his contract immediately, paying out his compensation package despite only 6 weeks remaining. A few days later, concerned about his absence, Newcastle staff went to check on him at home, only to discover that he had vanished, leaving all his belongings behind. Ben Arfa had truly disappeared, and for a time, the football world believed his career was over at just 28 years old. It was a surreal twist in a saga that had once promised so much. This may sound strange, but all that I've seen. The forgotten past of the greatest French talent of all time. Ben Arfa's trajectory was, in hindsight, predictably tumultuous. By the age of 12, he had joined the Clairefontaine Academy, the prestigious French government-funded training ground to produce stars like Henry, Mbappé, and Anelka. Just 3 years later, he was hailed as the greatest French talent of all time, with clubs like Manchester United, Chelsea, Ajax, and AC Milan vying for his signature. Yet, his notoriety stemmed not from spectacular goals, but from a volatile incident during a documentary filming at the academy. He was caught on camera getting into a heated altercation with Abu Dhabi, famously shouting insults that included a jab about Diaby's mother and a very specific profession. Remarkably, this incident occurred even before he signed his first professional contract, foreshadowing the unpredictable nature of his career that would follow. Everyone in France was aware of Ben Arfa's anger issues, and that was just the beginning. Soon, he joined Lyon's academy, where he met a young striker named Karim Benzema. In their first year together, they led Lyon to the final of the Under-16 French Championship, with Ben Arfa scoring despite their defeat. The following year, alongside Samir Nasri, they won the Under-17 Euros, with Ben Arfa scoring in every match leading up to the final. Suddenly, they were both promoted to the first team. For 3 years, they came off the bench, disrupting matches and playing essential roles in Lyon's success, showcasing their immense potential and setting the stage for their future careers. When Ben Arfa betrayed his childhood club. During a brief period, Lyon clinched 6 trophies, and as Karim Benzema emerged as the team's main striker with Florent Malouda leaving for Chelsea, Ben Arfa began the season with a stunning brace to defeat PSG 3-2. Just days later, He scored twice against Stuttgart, including an incredible goal from a nearly impossible angle. Around the same time, he received his first call-up to the national team, netting a goal less than half an hour into his debut. Ben Arfa and Benzema were dominating Lyon, showcasing all the ingredients for a decade of success. However, Ben Arfa soon fell into his familiar patterns, clashing with the coach, the president, and even Benzema. Despite the board's efforts to resolve tensions by renewing his contract, the situation escalated. Before the season ended, he was involved in a fistfight in the locker room. Even with Lyon sweeping up 3 trophies that year and enjoying significant success, Ben Arfa's volatile nature threatened to overshadow his remarkable talent and the team's achievements. With Benzema named the best player in France and Ben Arfa winning the Young Player of the Year award, tensions at Lyon reached a breaking point. He forced his exit from the club, turning down offers from Manchester United, Arsenal, and Real Madrid, and instead chose to join rivals Marseille, seemingly out of spite. He fired his agent and went into hiding when Lyon attempted to sabotage the transfer, even leaving a €90,000 check in his locker. His return to Lyon was marked by a contentious legal battle, during which he infamously labeled the club small and confronted the president, asking, "You told me you'd treat me like a son. Is this how you would treat your own child?" Eventually, after a settlement of €12 million, Ben Arfa joined Marseille as their most expensive signing in history. However, this high-profile move didn't shield him from further challenges. Just 2 weeks after arriving, he faced new obstacles that would test his commitment to the club and set the stage for yet another tumultuous chapter in his career. How Ben Arfa survived a career-ending injury. Ben Arfa faced a career-threatening injury when Nigel de Jong's brutal tackle left him with a broken fibula and shin bone, his foot dangling and completely detached. The severity of the injury was so shocking that even de Jong's national team banned him from play. Despite this horrific incident, Newcastle didn't turn their back on Ben Arfa. Alan Pardew initially opposed his signing, labeling him a rascal. However, from the very first training session, Ben Arfa's extraordinary talent shone through. One teammate remarked, "We were all, wow. It was a joke how good he was." Newcastle chose to support him, recognizing his potential despite the injury setback. On his second start, Ben Arfa rifled in a stunning 25-yard winner, prompting the club to secure him permanently. Fast forward 412 days, and after a full season, he returned to the starting 11, a moment that solidified his cult hero status among fans. Despite battling through months of limited playing time, often struggling to play more than 45 minutes, he soon began to showcase his extraordinary talent. Just over a month after his return, in a match against Blackburn Rovers, he picked up the ball around the center circle and darted past 3 defenders. With 2 players left on the ground, he pulled it back and smashed in a breathtaking goal from over 70 meters, earning him a nomination for the Puskas Award, which is given to the best goal of the year. This goal was celebrated as one of the greatest in Premier League history. Remarkably, just 92 days later, he picked up the ball even deeper in the pitch and charged straight toward goal, demonstrating his relentless drive and flair that captivated fans and defined his career. With perfectly timed touches, Ben Arfa seamlessly slipped the ball into the net, earning praise from teammates. As one noted in a post-match interview, "Not many can dribble past an entire team and score, but to do it twice. Wow." Adding to his flair, during Newcastle's critical season stretch, he contributed a goal every 85 minutes while mostly playing in midfield. His efforts helped the team finish just 4 points shy of the top 4, their best performance in nearly a decade. In just 5 months, he had become the fans' golden boy, even earning a call-up to the Euros. However, things took a turn for the worse when he managed to play only a little over an hour in the tournament. When Ben Arfa almost retired at 28 years of age. During his brief stint at the Euros, Ben Arfa experienced over an hour of game time without scoring, assisting, or tasting victory. Frustrated, he caused chaos in the dressing room, shouting that worse players than me get to play all they want. His aggression escalated to the point where a disciplinary hearing was needed after the tournament, setting him on a downward spiral. Things took a dramatic turn when his father crashed into the building and attacked his agent, Michael Awazine, headbutting him and yelling for all to hear, "You stole my son, aren't you ashamed? It's been 3 years since you took him from us." In later interviews, his father claimed Awazine had conspired to separate Ben Arfa from his family to exert more control over him, stating it had been 5 months since they last heard from him. To this day, it remains unclear who is in the right. Caught between an abusive father and being perceived as a puppet by his agent, Ben Arfa faced immense personal turmoil. After the disciplinary hearing, Ben Arfa was dropped from the national team, playing only twice more before his retirement. At the club level, despite a promising start to the year, he suffered another injury, sidelining him for most of the season, while Newcastle spiraled toward the bottom of the table. Upon his return, he famously claimed he still dreamed of winning the Ballon d'Or, but his relationship with manager Alan Pardew deteriorated further. As fans grew disillusioned with Pardew, they rallied around Ben Arfa, using him as a symbol of their resistance. His image was even photoshopped onto the body of Che Guevara, labeling him the club's last hope while blaming Pardew for their struggles. As everything unraveled, Pardew, with the support of veteran players, ostracized Ben Arfa completely. He was denied a starting position even as Newcastle lost 11 of their final 14 games that season, eventually being sent down to the under-21s. Reflecting on this dark period, Ben Arfa said, "It felt like I had been locked in a dark room without an exit. I was a prisoner. I saw hell." It was at this point that everything described at the beginning of the video unfolded. After being sent to Hull City, Ben Arfa's mental state deteriorated rapidly over 9 matches, and one day he simply disappeared. Concern grew for France's former golden boy. Nice manager Claude Puel, captivated by the tales he had heard during his time at Lyon, decided to reach out. He flipped through his phone book, found Ben Arfa's number, and promised him he could help turn his career around. In a flash, Ben Arfa was back on TV, declaring, "Even if Real Madrid called at this very moment, I would still sign for Nice." For a brief moment, it seemed like all was sunshine and rainbows again, until the French Football Federation intervened, complicating matters once more. The French Football Federation froze the transfer, arguing that Ben Arfa's single match for the Newcastle under-21s counted as official, alongside his time at Hull City, which violated FIFA's rule prohibiting a player from signing with 3 clubs in one season. Despite multiple appeals, nothing changed, and for 9 months, Ben Arfa found himself unemployed, contemplating retirement at just 28. His only connection to football was the 5-a-side matches he played with friends to maintain his fitness. He remarked he would go to the North Pole to play football if necessary, while one newspaper lamented that Ben Arfa is now nothing more than a sorry tale for the local pub. However, they were profoundly mistaken. Convinced he could rise from the ashes, Ben Arfa was determined to make a comeback with Nice.